Okay, let's get started with Chapter 1, How to Obtain Better Ears. This is a question that comes up quite often through the years with musicians. I don't have a good ear, or I need to work on my ears. What is that? What does that mean? We've all had solfege, or most of us. Perfect fifth, perfect fourth, major third. You know, the diatonic intervals, we've all kind of learned how to do that. I hope we have. That's just a very, very, very beginning. You know, I mean, as jazz players, we need more than that. We don't just assume everything is coming from do. In the real jazz world, there's all kinds of intervals that are moving around, and there's all kinds of harmonic colors that are disguising. For instance, a perfect fifth could be singing C. Now watch. They're saying the same interval, but they have two different colors. I mean, that's very different than. So you lose perspective when in the real world of harmony, just learning how to have an isolated perfect fifth. So one of the important things I think for a jazz player is to recognize the relationships of notes to harmony. Okay, welcome to Chapter 3. This one's kind of a complex one, but again, I'm going to just give tips and some small examples and perhaps say some things that'll help you. And of course, this chapter is called soloing. You often hear musicians say, you know, my solos suck. How do I get, better solos? I mean, that's sort of that's the official title of this chapter, but that's the whole goal of a jazz musician, to solo and to be able to keep growing and not be a bunch of licks. Most of the studies with jazz instruments include and incorporate a lot of scale work, a lot of technical arpeggios and scales, and just a lot of practicing of lines of all kinds. And although that I think there's definitely some value to that, I think that the emphasis is too much on that and not enough on some other things that have to do with ears and interaction and maybe the goal of a solo. It's the same progression in another key. So you don't even have to necessarily do that, but you should if you want to. But once you get a vocabulary, because even the modulations in this tune are the same. So when you play C minor to F minor to B flat, that's the key of E flat. Then you go to the 4 chord, and then you play the D7th to G. That's the same relative relationship as when you play D flat to G to C. So if you worked on a vocabulary, not fingerings or not finger patterns, that's not improvisation. We're talking about working on a vocabulary so you can really hear ideas, you can let go. If you built up a vocabulary, gone into the key of C from the key of A flat and all the things you are, well, that same vocabulary that you build up will also follow suit. In the new key, you'll already be able to hear through the next key because it's the same thing. So that's just a glimpse of what I mean by sectioning off tune. Sectioning off sections of a tune to work on the tough parts to hear. Because we're not talking about getting around the guitar neck here. We're not talking about playing correct notes. We're talking about hearing, letting go and not thinking about the changes, and making a scenario where you can actually hear what's going to come up next. Even in modulations, you can learn how to hear through modulations. And these tunes that have modulations on them, you can section them off and you can work on the modulation part. So that's going to help you with your solos. Right now, I'd like to give just a demonstration of just me doing. I have a pre-recorded rhythm section of the tune I mentioned earlier, Bluesette. It's in 3/4. And I'm not doing this to give you a concert. I'm doing this to exemplify simplicity. I'm going to do it in the real book key at B flat. I think the original's G. I'm going to do it in B flat. I have a pre-recorded that I made a guitar track on. I'm going to play the melody once, and I'm going to solo in this tune in a thematic way. I'm not going to try to be flashy. I'm not going to get into a lot of arpeggios. I'm not even going to try to be, go out as much as I normally would. I'm going to kind of play a restricted solo because I could, I want everybody to, to be able to hear what I'm doing. And I just want to show you that even if you stay within this tune goes to some keys, but even just using the notes in the particular scale of the key that it's in, pretty much, you can still, through nice phrasing and through thematic playing, take a solo that sounds lyrical and sounds thematic. All right, after all that, I hope I can take one.